United States of America, land of the free, home of the brave. A place thought by many to be the land of opportunities. But is it still true? Ever since I was a little kid, I would always hear the same thing. The place for you to go to change your life is America, is the United States. This was also one of the big dreams that my dad had since he was a little kid. He's always been passionate about spaghetti westerns. He would read Tex Willer, all these other very old comic books, and I always remember him talking about that one of his dreams was for him to go to the United States, because over there was the place where he could change his life, and not only his life but his family life for the better. Well, fast forward a lot of years, and eventually my family did go to the United States. I also went to the United States. Then I decided to leave America. But this video is not about me. This video is about the conception that the whole world has, not only Americans, the whole world has, that the United States, and it is a place that is going to change your life for the better. This concept is not new. We have the American dream, that it is one of the oldest things that everyone can remember for Americans and non-Americans. But America itself, the United States, they were created for minorities, for immigrants, for people who were coming from overseas, from Europe. The first people that moved to America, they did not go to the other side of the pond because they wanted to. Most of them did not have a good life prior in the UK or in Europe in general. The US was a place for them to start new, to start a new chapter in their life, and for them to make money and conquer, to have a better lifestyle. And I have vague memories that before 9/11, the United States were very welcoming to all the immigrants. People would go to the United States and then they would live there, work there, create a whole new chapter of their life over there. They would get the citizenship. There will be legal immigrants over there, which is not the case anymore. After 9/11, everything changed. A bunch of countries now had visas that they were required, and they had to go through very strict interviews for them to receive these visas, for them to be approved to go to the United States. For a Brazilian to go to the United States, it is a very, very hard process. Of course, for an American to come here to Brazil, it is a very simple process, just because it is someone from the first world country going to a third world country. So, of course, it will be easy for them to come visit us. So the concepts of social mobility and the American dream that we had before, those pretty much don't exist anymore. Right now, the United States is not even close to the top 10 countries with the best social mobility. Actually, out of the first 20, 17 of those are in Europe, and the US itself is placed 27th on this rank. The first one being Denmark. So if you want to end the video right here, right now in 2023, the land of opportunity for you to have the best chance of social mobility is Denmark, or any Scandinavian country if you want to be more broad. So if that's what you wanted to hear, I think the video is over for you. But let's talk about social mobility for a little bit. So social mobility is the ability of a person to climb the social ladder, the economic ladder, and to have a better lifestyle, make more money, have better things like health, security, all these things that makes life easier and makes life great. And of course, most of this process of climbing the social ladder, it takes generations. For example, in Denmark, it would take you 2 generations for your family to climb the social ladder. While in the United States, this number goes up to 5 generations. In Brazil, for example, it goes up to 9 generations for them to climb their social ladder. So why did this change for the United States? Well, mainly because of politics. American political system right now has rules that benefits the rich at expense of everyone else. Financial regulators also allow for predatory lending and abusive credit card practices that makes the money go from the bottom to the top of the economy. So there is no trickle-down economics. Actually, it is the inverse. It is trickle-up economics. We're not going to get in detail with this, but you can see that right now, the United States debt is the highest it's ever been. Credit card debt is also the highest it's ever been. Most than half of the Americans are not even prepared for an emergency expense that is above $500, meaning that financially most of the Americans are not prepared for any sort of crisis. But there is something that I like to point out, something that I've noticed and I was part of when I was in the United States, is that you get rewarded for your work. So it is equal opportunities for everyone? Not at all. If you think the United States offers equal opportunities for everyone, that is cap. They still have race and money issues, meaning that if you are from a wealthy family or a wealthy and white family, you most likely will succeed more than if you are from a poor and black family or a poor and minority family. And we have real data for this, meaning that indeed it is not equal. People who are born from richer families, they are not equally prepared for the future as someone who was born from a minority family, which if they're also a poor family. So it is not equal. There is no equality in the United States, but they are just. So it is very meritocratic in this sense, meaning that the more you work, the more you get rewarded for it. And I can vouch for that. Since I finished high school in the United States, I was able to work. The more I knew and the more my skills grew, my salary and my job would also grow significantly. So my income from my first job that I had to my last job that I had in the United States, it changed dramatically. And this is not even counting the fact that I don't have a diploma. This was all in construction. So it was all labor. It was very hard labor. But because of my skill, the more I could prove that I had the skills to do X job, the more I would get paid. So in this sense, it is hard to find a country that would offer you the opportunities for you, even if you don't have a degree, if you don't have a diploma, if you don't know how to read or speak the language. In the United States, you have this advantage. People go there because they know if they work and they are good workers and they work well and fast, they can make money there and they can make a lot of money. This is why almost all the construction workers are foreigners, because they know how to work and they want to work and they don't care to work extra hours. They don't care if they need to work until late, because they know that the more they work, the more they're going to get paid. So we said there's no equality here. So how much inequality is too much? Because if you get, for example, an immigrant versus a white rich person, and for example, someone in the 1% bracket, you can see the whole difference. The range is amazing. We're talking from 35 to 45k annual salary to over 500k annual salary. There's a huge gap in between. So how much inequality is too much inequality? This is just a rhetorical question. We're not going to get into this. And if you've never stopped to think about it, I think it is time for you to do so. To understand a little bit, to put yourself in the shoes of both parties and think for yourself if there's such thing as too much inequality, even if there is justice, because the system is meritocratic. So just some food for thought just for you alone. So let's get back into it. So we've established that the race isn't fair. It is just leveled for everyone. But because your background and your family matters, you can see that, for example, someone with a disability or someone from a minority group, they would be in disadvantage if compared to someone from a rich family, for example. So you can see how the game is not equal, but the game is just fair. Big fair here, because of course it is up to you to decide what is fair and what is not. Going back to the social mobility, fewer people from the low and mid class are able to climb the ladder if we compare that to the 80s, the 70s, the 60s, the 50s. Right now, less and less people are able to climb the ladder if we compare their salaries to what their parents would be making. So the whole ideology of the American dream comes from the belief that upward mobility in the economic scale is available for everyone through their own actions and merit. So based on the data that we just discussed, do you still think the United States is this country where everyone, and here I mean everyone, can go to and change their life? Well, my personal answer is no. But again, I do not fall in the American category and I do not fall into the rich family background category either. So I am an immigrant minority that does not have a rich family history. So for me, it will be easy to point fingers and say that America is no longer the land of opportunities. But actually, my family still lives in the United States and they are very well financially speaking. So for them, the American dream still lives and is still something that they live every day in their lives. But my personal opinion is that they chose to live life that way, to go through hardships, to go through a lot of racism. So right now, the United States, for me, of course, feels like a big hypocritical country. And this is one of the reasons that I chose to leave the United States in the first place. I think it's worth mentioning that another reason, for me at least, that the United States is no longer the land of opportunities is remote jobs. So this whole ideology of going to the United States was almost always work related. So families would move cross country or they would move from out of the country to America to work. It doesn't matter what kind of job they were doing. They knew that in the United States, you can make money and the dollar was a strong currency, right? Yeah. But right now with remote jobs, you can still work for US companies getting paid in dollars, which is still a strong currency globally, but you can be living in your home country. So no missing home, no staying away from the family, no going through hardships, for example, like racism or stupid policies from stupid politicians that decides what you can or cannot do as an immigrant in their country. So I'd say this is indeed a big factor that was part of this change in narrative for the US and for the American dream as a whole. But I would like to end the video saying that most of this ideology, most of this content that I'm presenting you is coming from a biased point. The point that, again, I am not an American citizen, nor do I come from a rich family. So I would love to hear from you, especially if you are a non-American that does live and work in the United States. Does that work for you? What is your mentality? And especially if you are a second generation, because I was not a second generation. I moved in with my family, so I was a first generation in the United States, but I got in the United States not as a child. So I saw the two sides of my life before and after the United States, and now after leaving the United States. So I have the understanding on how it is to live in Europe, how it is to live in the United States, and how it is to live in South America. So we'd like to know your thoughts on this. Of course, it is okay to disagree. This is just my point of view, and I would love to get to hear everyone's side of the story. So I hope this video was interesting. If it was, scroll down just a tiny bit and like, subscribe, and maybe turn on notifications. I'm enjoying doing videos like these where I get a little bit more creative, talk about a wider sort of topics. Let me know this is something you'd like to see more, and as always, I appreciate every single one of you. So thank you so much for joining. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.